Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you are watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find a link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, but just enjoy watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box over here, and I'll do my best to make your comments a part of the show or questions a part of the show. Now, understand, sometimes I can't get a word in myself, so be patient, and I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comments. And by the way, you only can make comments or ask your questions during a live stream. So like I said earlier, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host or the many building videos, Saturday at John's Garage videos, contest coverage that Sparky does on his platform, informative and enjoyable, please give us a thumbs up, please. Subscribe, share the videos, comments also help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Now, when you subscribe, hit the notification bell and select all so that whether myself or Sparky comes on, you will be notified. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. 17 cents a day. And you get access to Sparky's building experience of 55 years plus and flying experience, plus John Jordan on the weekends, all his experience and his craftsmanship. Not to mention my panel, which has former and world and national champions and all kinds of experience. And so it's an incredible opportunity at just $4.99. And please support your hobby. It's important we support it. We don't want it to go away. So now you also can help us with super chats. Now that's right over here at the bottom of the chat box, and it's a big $sign. Click on that and donate any amount you want, okay? And that'll help us out. Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, when you join the Stunthangar YouTube memberships, you get special badges that Sparky and I can see when you come in the chat box. Also, unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. So those are some of the perks of being of joining this membership. I'm talking about the Stunthangar YouTube memberships. Now, like I was starting to say, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. So I host this show every Monday and Friday, but this is not where I stay. I have my own YouTube channel, and that's called Flying Control Line Stunt. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. And if you go there and locate the video that's called the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which is a video that Sparky shot with his video camera of me flying his beautiful Junar XL. Now it was orange then, and now it's a more white plane with, I believe it looks like it's kind of a red trim, but it might be orange, but just I can't tell by the video I get. But anyways, if you go there and you can see me fly, there's many videos of me flying at different contests and practicing here in Escondido. And if you go there and put a comment or a question there, I'll be notified right away because that's my YouTube channel. Unlike this channel, I'm only here twice a week. So I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children and grandchildren. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to post a link at Stunthangar, the forum right now. Let me go there and post a link, and the link is how you get in. So like I said earlier, you go to Stunthangar forum. If you are a member, you'll find the link called At the Bench. If you scroll down, I'm gonna go to Sparky's YouTube channel and go to what I call the control panel. And let's see what's going on there. This is how I kind of keep tabs. I have 3 monitors and I keep tabs on who's coming in. If anyone has a question, I keep an eye on the chat box. And this is kind of how I manage this. I'm usually don't talk a lot because I am busy hosting the show. So let's see here. So I'm coming into the Stunthangar control panel right now. It looks like I am streaming. That's good. I got to make a few changes here. I got to edit a little bit, but it looks like we have 8 concurrent viewers, 2 likes so far. So if you haven't hit the like button or smashed it yet, please smash the like button. Give us a thumbs up is what I mean. And there's no one in the chat box. Now I know that today is a holiday, Memorial Day, and it's kind of when we pause for a moment to honor those who are heroes who have passed away defending our freedoms and our country's interests. So, but you know what? We went flying today. My buddies, I made a list. I didn't want to leave anybody out. I had Carl Reed, I had 8 of us today. Carl Reed, who's a usual regular person who comes in the show. Joe Mata, who also, well, he doesn't come in regularly. He listens regularly. And Keith Bozell was there. Stuart Mossman, another friend of mine, and so is Keith. These are all friends of mine, by the way. And then Sean Dea was there, and Greg Hill, David Sabon, and myself. So that's 8 of us. And then we had a little bit of fans, you know, people watching us, and pretty neat day, actually. Beautiful weather. Well, I don't know if we could top the weather we had today. A little bit of windy, but not excessive. And I must have flown about, now I didn't do the full pattern. I'm still kind of trimming the plane out. It's an electric SV11, by the way. And I must have put up at least 5 flights, at least, maybe even more than that. I believe these are short flights. And I see Jeff Riley is in the chat box. He says, "Happy Memorial Day!" Exclamation mark. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. So right now we're up to 5 likes, 8 concurrent viewers. So please, if you haven't hit the like button, please do that. That helps the analytics of our YouTube channel. Let me see. So anyways, it was pretty neat. I was helping Keith Bozell. He brought out his Ringmaster. There was a little bit of flexing in the push rod, and he arrested that with some zip ties. I think that was a suggestion of Joe Mata. I considered Joe Mata almost my MacGyver. He will find a way to fix something or adjust something at the field. And we kind of got that plane kind of squared away, flying better. At first, it was the push rod was flexing. Pardon me. So we arrested that. And then the motor was a McCoy, I think it's a McCoy 35 Redhead, which I'm not familiar with that motor, except for watching other people run that motor. I haven't personally ran one. And looks like Keith Trossel's getting ready to come in, which is awesome. Anyways, so then I was helping Keith Bozell, and I think he had a great day. And he also brought out his super clown. Hey, Keith, how you doing today?
I'm fine. Hey, I'm going to have to wait, come back in about 10, 15 minutes.
No problem. That sounds
Yeah, I'll be
good.
back.
All right. Thank you very much.
Got
Appreciate
anybody else on?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Waiting for someone to join me so I can not have to do a song and dance or a pony show.
Okay. I'll be back about 10, 15.
All right. Thank you very much, man. And so we have Jack Snavely. He says, hello all around the world, and just saying hi again. And he has some airplane stickers. And thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate that. Happy Memorial Day to you. And anyways, getting back to Keith Bozell's Ringmaster. So the motor was running a little bit lean. So when he was doing the loops, it was kind of lean sagging, slowing down, losing lift. And so we richened up that motor. I was surprised, maybe like almost three revolutions, not just 3 clicks, but 3 complete rotations. And then it seemed to perform a lot better doing the maneuvers. And then he brought out a Super Clown. And that was kind of interesting. That one, I was kind of bench trimming it at the field, checking it out. It seemed to be a little bit nose heavy. And that was okay for the first flight. I don't mind that at all. He wanted me to fly it, to do the maiden flight. So I was going through his checks and checked the CG. The lead outs weren't adjustable, so I couldn't do anything about that. I asked him if he had tip weight in there. He said he had tip weight in there according to what the booklet instruction said. And then I noticed that the prop, I measured, this is something you might want to make a note. Before you fly a plane, you want to do what's called a bench test or bench trimming. Pardon me while I take a little bit of some water here. So I just kind of looked over the plane. I saw the tank height. The tank height was a little bit above the glow plug, which is what you want typically. And just kind of looking it over. And then then I wanted to see the engine run. So we had the engine run. It didn't sound very happy. So then I took off the tubing off of he had muffler pressure, and he also had one of the vent tubes capped. So just kind of went off the muffler pressure, and then the motor sounded a little bit different without that. And then I went ahead and checked the prop. One thing you might want to consider doing before you fly a brand new plane or a new plane to you is make sure you don't have any in thrusts. And I'm so glad that came to my mind. So I measured with the same prop blade. I just happened to start with the outboard wingtip leading edge and measured to the prop tip and got a measurement, and just kind of made a mental note of that, and then moved the prop blade over to the inboard wingtip panel side of the plane and measured that same tip to the leading edge, keeping the measurement parallel to the fuselage. So it's a straight measurement. And I discovered that he had some in thrust, probably, I don't know, at least a 1/4 inch in thrust. So that was a total deal breaker, So I told him he needed to fix that, get some offset in that engine where the engine's canted out of the circle. And so that was kind of a bust. We didn't fly that, but I'm so glad that I didn't fly that, because I would have been running backwards trying to keep the lines tight. And that where we flew today was a little bit a different location than I normally fly at. So who knows, it could have been treacherous with ruts or irregularities in the ground. I could have fallen trying to keep the plane in the air. So I'm so glad that that came to mind. So that's one thing you want to make sure. And there's a number of other things that's called bench trimming. I know Wendy Yanowski on either Paul Taylor's YouTube channel. He has a couple YouTube channels, and he has a lot of Wendy's tapes, and so does Walt Burnell. And if you can go there, you might want to do a search for bench trimming. There's a list of things that that you want to do before you even fly the plane. That's why it's called bench trimming. Very important. You want to make sure you don't, just off the top of my head, you don't want a tail heavy plane. You don't want the engine being inset into the circle. You want it to have an offset outside circle. You want it maybe to be a little bit nose heavy. there's a number of things. You might want the wheels to, when you push the plane down your driveway, at the plane at least go straight and maybe a little bit out on your first flight, and maybe you wouldn't want to roll in again. um, those are some of the things that comes to mind. um, let me see, what else is there. Of course, you might want to check for warps as well, and make sure, and this plane had flaps and elevators, so I made sure that the flaps and the elevator came to 0, 0 at the same time. That's just a number of things, but it can make a big difference. One thing you hate is put all the time and energy to put a plane together and then have a crash on your very first flight because of not checking the plane out and making sure that it's in what Wendy would call a safe mode. It's not in the most acrobatic advanced position, but it's a safe mode. So your first flight is a successful flight. And fortunately, that's what we did today with Keith Bozell. And then the other guys, Greg Hill, I think he actually had been on the combat. Maybe Howard can attest to this. I believe Greg Hill had been on the world team for the U.S. in combat. He was there, and Sean Day competes mostly in Southern California. I don't know how far out of California he goes, but he's a really good combat flyer. And then another friend of mine, Stuart Mossman, is also a very good combat flyer. So we had a mixture of one circle that was pretty much all combat. Carl Reed was flying his combat planes. And so you had the four guys in that circle, and you had myself and Dave Sabon, Keith Bozell flying a regular, like a control line stunt type of plane. And it was a good day. I was very pleasantly surprised that we had 8 people there, and we did not have too much of a wait time to, as far as the rotation to fly. So that was good. Now I have been working on my airplane called Precious Balsa. I started to, on the, I think I did the top shell, one that's on top of the fuselage. I coated the inside with epoxy and to strengthen it, because it's only 1/16 inch thick sheet shell. It's very thin and very flimsy. It is light. So I wanted to stiffen it up, so I used some epoxy. I hope later on tonight, maybe in the after party, or maybe I'll get to it tomorrow, I'm going to use some finishing resin epoxy on the bottom shell and stiffen that up, and then glue all the formers. And I got the formers are all shaped, and they're at a perfect contour match to the shell, because I used the buck to shape the formers. So hopefully to make some progress, because I've got to make progress on Precious Balsa, so that plane will be for sure ready, trimmed out and ready to fly for the Las Vegas Stunt Challenge in November 3rd. And I hope that people are planning on coming to that, because that's kind of like the Stunthangar video contest, where we actually get together from all over the world, all over the nation, maybe the world someday. That'd be neat because Las Vegas is a great destination because of it being Las Vegas. Who wouldn't want to go to Las Vegas? So who knows? I know last year we had John Miller, myself, Dennis Adamison, Mike Lonke, just to mention a few who came from outside Las Vegas, including myself. I came from California. Hey, Gary, how are you this evening?
Good.
Great. I appreciate you coming in, buddy. I've been holding it down by myself until I got someone to come in. Keith came in temporarily, but he had to leave, but he'll be back probably about another 5 minutes from now.
Is that his chair there?
That's his chair. That's
Okay.
That's Keith Trossel's chair. So happy Memorial Day to you.
Yeah. Pretty here. It's hot there.
Say again?
It's pretty here, but hot.
It's hot there?
Yeah, it was at 95 this afternoon.
Oh, wow. It's pretty warm.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
temperature was here, but I don't think it was that hot. It was, I think we had pretty good weather today. So I don't know what the temperature was, but I'll put it to you this way. I felt comfortable most of the day in shorts and t-shirt. Never got too sweaty, never got cold. It was a good flying day. A little bit breezy, just a little bit. Took out my SV11 today and did some more trim flights. I'm really trying to get the plane to turn the same, and it's really the sensitivity, the plane's response to my inputs. I want it to respond in kind the same way whether I give it up or down, and it's just a little bit different, but it's getting closer and closer. I mean, when I was first adjusting, I was adjusting the push rod, full revolution. And now I think my last adjustment was a half a revolution. So really dialing in, drilling down on getting the plane to turn the same. There's some people that just say, and I've had friends who've flown with me, and they just say, Charles, just fly the plane. And one particular individual would tell me all the time, just find music in the instrument, But that's not my style. I really like the plane to fly the same in any direction, anywhere in the hemisphere that we fly in, So that's kind of what I really really focus on, So let me get back to the chat box just a second, Gary. And
yeah, go ahead.
So Jeff Riley says the only thing worse than in thrust is inheriting a plane that the wing was built long side out. Yep. I've never flown a plane like that. Yeah, I remember building my Magician, and the Magician, the inboard wing was longer than the outboard wing. I think the Nobler is a little bit like that as well. Probably the Banshee that I have. So most planes do. I've never flown a plane with the outboard wing being the long side out. That would be very interesting. I don't know. So anyways, Gary, back to you. You and me, man.
Yeah.
You have any questions for me?
Sparky was out flying today, I think.
Okay. I did watch the one you told me about, the one I think Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he mentions that his place, his next door neighbors had a fire.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
But I think he's got his plane just about there. He thinks he'd like to have another prop.
Yeah, the Continental.
Yeah.
Good, because I know that he last time I heard him, he said that he was going to give the Continental one last try, and then if it didn't straighten out in short order, he was going to just rely on his Junar, which I know is a good flying plane because I flew the Junar at the Nats. One of the best flying planes I can remember flying. If I flew a better plane than that, I don't remember. So I'm glad to hear you got the Continental working better. That's good.
I think so, yeah.
Did he get the
He's
location
closer anyway.
camera better?
I don't know. It's kind of windy today too, and then the other day,
Oh,
But the
it
day
got windy toward the end of that.
yeah.
I think Saturday. Anyways, I remember them terminating the session because the wind came up.
But the day before it was calm, I think.
Yeah, calm is good. I like calm when I'm trimming a plane. But once the plane is trimmed, then I actually want to fly it in the wind so that because that contest, it just seems like in the second round of a contest, and most contests I've been in, the second round is usually the wind comes up in the afternoon. So I want to have as much experience as I can flying in the wind. Flying in a windy situation, just so that I have less apprehension and nervousness flying the planes. I have experience. I know how it responds and how it acts,
Yeah.
Have you ever read that trim article by Paul Walker? Are you familiar with that trim article?
I saw that in the last magazine or something. They had a trim article in there, but that's for RC. So.
Oh, yeah, he did a I don't know how many part series. He did. There was are you familiar with Stunt News? It was the Pampa magazine called Stunt News.
I just have one.
Yeah, so he did a series in Stunt News on trimming, and it'd be good for even our listeners if you are Well, you can also read those trim articles on a website called flyinglines.org. It's all there. So anybody can access that. And if you listen to our show and some things might go over your head or don't understand, that would be a very good series to read. And it's written by Paul Walker, world champion and national champion, I think multiple times, written by him. So it'd be a really good thing for a person to read, and it's free. And then you really understand some of the things we talk about some of the time, which is a lot of trim issues.
So if you get a plane trimmed to you, and someone else flies it, will that be trimmed exactly to them?
Not exactly.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But there will be some things that would be consistent. In other words, the plane would stay at the end of the line. You have good tension, line tension everywhere. That would be one indication of a trimmed airplane. Now the sensitivity, that is kind of like a pair of shoes. Some people like a plane that's nose heavy, where you really can yank on the controls. They just love having that ability. Of course, if the plane's really sensitive, then you can't yank on the controls. So that's where it differs. But a well-trimmed plane should give you good line tension everywhere in the hemisphere that we fly. But the sensitivity is kind of a personal thing. So welcome back, Keith.
Good to be back.
Gary had a good question. I was just talking to him about the trim article that Paul Walker wrote over a series of articles in Stunt News, and that it's available on flyinglines.org. But Gary had a question that once a plane gets trimmed, is it trimmed for everybody? And I said, well, it might be trimmed as far as line tension everywhere in the hemisphere, but the sensitivity, it's kind of a personal thing. Some people like a plane more nose heavy, and some people like a plane a little bit more tail heavy. Do you have anything you want to add to that? Maybe something I might not have thought to mention?
Well, if you pick up the handle on any of those airplanes, like with Ted Fancher or Paul Walker, and particularly those guys, those airplanes like nothing else you've ever flown. Now, you might want to take, if that were your airplane, you might want to take a little bit and decrease or increase the sensitivity on how sharp it turns in the loops and so forth. But Brett Buck, I can remember several years ago, Ted Fancher kept telling me I need to fly Brett's airplane. And I really don't like to fly other people's airplanes because there's too many outcomes that might not be good.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I flew that airplane and it was like nothing I'd ever flown before. What would I only flew it the one time. What would I do to change? I have no idea. But it just sort of sat out there, and when you wanted it to turn, it turned. When you wanted to keep level, it'd stay level. There was no hint of putting. And Fancher's airplane would do much the same. Paul Walker's, I thought a little bit too sensitive for me, or I think I could get used to it, but it is different. They're all a little bit different. So those guys, they all trim, they use the same methods to get everything trimmed, but for their own personal taste, they might use something different. I don't know if that is an answer or not, but
No, I think it's,
Yeah.
I think it's great. I don't know what else I'm going to add to that, but that's great. Let me say hi to Carl. Hey, Carl, how are you doing? Long time no see. I know I saw you earlier. I know you're muted, so thank you very much. That's good enough. And let me catch up on the chat box. Keith Bozell, he said he had a great day. Can't wait till Friday. Well, that's awesome. That is totally awesome. Keith Bozell was there along with the other gentleman that I mentioned. And then Bill Bomer says, hi, Charles and everyone. Really enjoying the Friday and Monday evening. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. I'm glad to hear that others are enjoying it. I think Keith Bozell said he really enjoyed last Friday's show. He thought it was one of the best shows. So thank you for your contribution to that, Keith. Keith Trussell.
I just thinking back and way back there when we was flying. I don't think we trimmed our airplanes, but we just whatever we had, we flew, and that was it.
That was how I was when I was a kid. I would build a plane and go fly it, and if it flew good, boy, that is a good plane. And if it flew bad, that was a bad plane. I had no idea what trim was. I mean, I remember the directions might show me a little bit of the symbol of the CG, and I might put my fingertips on the outboard wingtips and see if it bounces, but that was the extent.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
Besides getting the elevator at neutral, that's about the only trim I did.
Yeah.
There's so many adjustments that are available at the handle of this line spacing, how far apart or narrow the line spacing is.
Yeah.
How far above or below the center line of the handle that changes the inside sensitivity to the insides and outsides.
Right.
The amount of overhang, I think the less overhang is better, and whether or not you use a hard point handle or cables on the handle, I like hard point. It gives you a better feel, I think. On the airplane, you need to be able to adjust the elevator flap ratio. You need to be able to adjust the elevator travel with respect to the flaps, the ratio, like I say, and the elevator trim. That's all there. And then, of course, you get into the rudder. If you have a movable rudder, whether do it like Raby does or with a cam, like some people have tried, as long as you make changes in small increments, it can be a very useful tool. There's so many things that you can do to get more out of the airplane. That Bearcat that I had, it took about 2 years to get it right. So.
Well, good. That makes me feel good because it takes me a long time to get a plane dialed in. I've had people fly with me and they've seen me just constantly fidget with a plane constantly. Yeah. Carl can attest
and of course, there's the lead outs and the spacing on the lead outs. And well, the spacing on lead outs isn't that important. It's just a matter of where the center of the lead outs are with respect to the CG. And I like to put the lead outs as close together as possible without some threat or concern that the clips might interfere with each other.
Yes, that is scary when that happens. I've had that happen to me. And it, that really scared me. I was like, oh man, I'm going to avoid that like the plague. That was really something.
And then there's a weight box for the tip weight. So there's a dozen different things that you can play with.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm always fooling around with all those things all the time. I typically will adjust something until, like, I'll notice the benefit, and then I'll just keep going until what I call it just falls off the cliff, and then I'll go back one step prior to that, and then I'll adjust something else. But I'm always, I tell my flying buddies that I'm greedy. If something's good, I always want more. And I just will try to see where the envelope is, and then go back.
Usually the plans would say, if like the smoothie or something, say how much weight to put in there, you put it in there and lock it. And it'd be underneath the covering, so you couldn't adjust it. But that's what you went by.
That's how it. That's an established design. I mean, they're pretty close. All those things are real good suggestions, but for improved performance, sometimes you have to add a little bit more or subtract a little bit to get optimal performance of the plane. But yeah, all those suggestions in the plane and the plans are very helpful. This kind of gets you in the ballpark because they build a plane for a range of flyers and a range of builders. So it's depending upon where you are and the range of being a beginner to an expert, that plane is not, the plans aren't going to have you the most aggressive trim, because that wouldn't work, not for everybody.
Well, there are a lot of things that will affect, or several things that affect the tip weight. And that is, one of them is how much asymmetry there is between the left and right wing. If you
Right.
have equal span flaps or equal area flaps, that's one thing, but some people, and I think Bob Hunt's one of the first to publish this, was to make the outboard flap, the trailing edge at the tip, a little bit wider than what the trailing edge of the tip on the inboard was.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's just a lot of little things. But typically for a 35, 40 sized airplane that say 550, 600 square inches, you could say 3/4 of an ounce on the outboard tip. If there's like no more than about an inch asymmetry, 3/4 inch is the way to go. But then you change and you adjust from there.
Now, do you have a preference to like full span flaps versus partial span flaps?
I'm undecided. I like partial span flaps because that gives you a little bit of leeway for that outboard tip to put a tab out there if you need one. That's another adjustment capability there is. And then if you put a tab on the one tip, why maybe put the opposite tab on the other tip, just to counteract the difference in drag that you're going to have with the adjustments going on those things. So you can end up with two smaller tabs and not increase the drag any, and be more symmetrical in the way the drag is building up on the wing.
Right. Yeah, I
Doesn't
saw
look-
that.
Doesn't look very good, but something that can be done.
Right.
It just becomes part of the model that flies.
Right. Right.
Now, Paul Walker could listen to me and he could say, well, maybe not, but he has his own ideas, and he's been, I think you could say he's been pretty successful with them.
Yes. Yeah. I try it. I try everything. I want to find out for myself. I don't necessarily just, if someone says this is the way to do it, and I hear another way to do it, I want to find out. I'll try them both and make up my own mind, because it might work. Who knows? It maybe didn't work for that other person, but it might work for you or your airplane. So I try everything. It's like the Raby rudder. The gentleman that I fly with, the expert and advanced pilots I fly with, they told me you don't need a Rabe rudder. That was because of Al Rabe, his semi-scale planes, they needed it. But you know what? I love Raby rudders. I would want a Raby rudder on every plane, given the opportunity. So I actually am a believer in the Raby rudder. I don't, like you said, it doesn't take a lot. It takes a little bit. And I think the biggest problem is some people maybe just have too much deflection, and that's when they have problems.
Both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried the cam. Because
Like
I
I
didn't want to
say,
have to keep putting different slots, different cam tracks or routes in the plane. So I just use the push rod and the horn on the rudder.
The external mechanism.
Yeah.
And if you play with it long enough, I met, what's his name? Benny, last name, from Brazil. He flew Raby's Mustang, or a version of it. And he incorporated the Raby rudder, but he's found the same thing I did, that you want just very little more right offset for the insides, and maybe a little bit less, but still right offset on the outsides. And for the external linkages like Raby uses, you can still do that, but you have to go inside the airfoil of the elevator to find the point that's going to give you that kind of motion. And you have to sit down with your drawings to find out where that thing is. And it's kind of awkward, to say the least, but it works.
Yeah. I actually had spoke to Al Ray before he passed away on several occasions about the Raby rudder. And he was very helpful, very, very accommodating. I mean, he didn't know me from Adam, and he gave me lots of time on the phone to help me with that. Let me catch up on the chat box. I have Bill Bomer. He says, I am a member of the same club as Lenny up here in Canada. It was an interesting discussion on Friday regarding the Viking. Well, I'm glad you like that. He says, do you know where you can get plans? I didn't see it on Outer Zone.
These are all performance fabrics, so you could spill on them.
Hey, what's up, Lynn Burrell?
Hey, Sir Charles, how's it going?
Doing well.
That's good. What's new?
What are you watching in the background?
Oh, I gotta turn that off. Hang on. Bye-bye.
All righty, cool. I thought it might have been Wendy Ranowski. That's what I thought it was.
No,
was
no.
that Wendy? No, it wasn't.
No, it
Wendy?
wasn't windy.
Okay. So, anyways, you know Bill Bomer?
Yeah, I know Bill Bomer. Of course I
Okay.
know Bill. Is he on?
No, well, he's listening and he's watching us, but he's not in
Yes.
here. But he has a question of where he can get the plans for the Viking because he doesn't see it on Outer Zone.
Ask him if he's coming to the, I wish I could ask him if he's coming to the contest this weekend. I'll bring him a set of plans.
Well, he's listening. He might respond.
Yeah, if he responds, let me know. Bill, if you're coming to the contest on the weekend, I'll bring you a set of plans for the Viking. I've got them still.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I've got a set. Not a problem.
So anyways, who was this?
I've known Bill for years and years. We've flown together.
Very good. Well, he was just saying how he really loved the show Friday we had.
Oh, good.
And, regarding the Viking, he enjoyed that show. So thank you very much, Keith,
Good stuff.
for your information on that. And then Denny, his Viking looked beautiful. I was talking to
Yes,
Keith
it did.
Roselle, and he was really impressed with how that thing looked.
You sure wouldn't be impressed with my Viking.
And, you know, maybe be impressed with the flying.
Oh my God, you might, but I'll tell you, it's the ugliest looking Viking you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to go get it. It's that bad.
Oh, man. And you're welcome to do a show and tell on how ugly. So that way, you know, get some of our, you know what? Some of our listeners.
Hey, some people have the ugly duckling. I have the ugly Viking.
That will be fine. Yeah, show that because you know I've taken some butt ugly airplanes to contests.
All right, I'll go grab it. Hang on.
All right, sounds good. You know, I've had some butt ugly airplanes, I tell you. And I think they look so bad that my friend Walter Hicks thought I needed some planes, so he gave me some airplanes. So anyways,
Some of my first ones is that way too. They're
Really?
close.
I
They're
can't
close,
imagine-
but you know, instead of
It's hard.
going on and sanding more like Sparky, we stopped. So, but
yeah,
you know, just little things. But
yeah. The difference is sandpaper.
some places is good, but then there's other places, is, you know, the grain shows and all that good stuff. You know.
Now, when you
Okay.
painted your planes, did you use
Okay.
brushes or did you use spray cans when you painted your planes?
Brushes
Brushes.
and big.
Go ahead, Keith. What was you going to say, Keith?
We're talking about Raby. You could say at one time we were good friends. I spent time at his house. He spent time at my house.
Oh,
We
great.
talked a little bit together. But he had several projects that never really came to light. One, he had plans drawn up for a P-47, and it was done like Raby would do a P-47.
Wow.
And he did plans for a Spitfire, like a Spitfire Mark 22. And his plans for that was to have molded shell, fiberglass shells for the whole thing. And he did a lot of research on the fiberglass, and he went out and talked to Larry Wolf of Jet Hangar in the Los Angeles area, who builds these super great, like 1/6, 1/8 scale jets. Used to be fans, but now fans and the turbines. And some have said that his fiberglass shell fuselages were as good as you could get in the industry. Anyway,
Wow.
Raby went out and visited with him for a while to find out what his process was. And he came up to a conclusion he couldn't keep the fiberglass weight down enough to make it worthwhile to do that Spitfire. I've got plans for it and was tempted at one time to go ahead and copy the plans and put conventional build on the thing, but never got around to it. I'm not that crazy about full elliptical wings anyway, but that's another story.
Okay. So Lynn, you ready to show us your beautiful Viking?
Oh yeah,
example?
it's just gorgeous. Let me tell you.
Let
You
me
can see that. You can see that beautiful finish. It's just absolutely a prize winner.
yeah. Rustic,
got it. It's every color under the sun of red, but you know, it flies nice. It flies okay. It's served me well, but I hardly ever fly it now because it's timed out. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Airplanes
I like those wheels.
Oh, the wheels are okay. They're just standard wheels, you know. But yeah, it's pretty tired looking airplane. I mean, it flies, like I say, it flies good, but I don't take very good care of it anymore. It doesn't fly very often. I think I got a hole in the bottom. No, I don't actually. See, I got this silk from a dressmaker's shop because I'd never used silk before and I wanted to try it. Well,
Right.
guess what? I got the wrong kind of silk. This silk is not the kind. This isn't the kind of silk you use for airplane covering. I must have used a half a gallon of dope to make this stuff stick.
Oh, man.
But I had to use it because it was a week before the 2012 Nats, and I wanted an airplane for old time stunt. And I started building it exactly 1 week before the Nats. And I tell you, I didn't have any time to waste. Not a minute. I was right at it. I had 1 week to have it finished and in the car.
That's impressive.
You could still smell the dope in the car all the way to Muncie.
I bet you were flying high, huh?
Oh, you know it. Oh,
that's funny.
So I bought this red silk and it wasn't the right kind of silk at all. I don't know what it was, but but the airplane's fairly light. It's not very heavy.
Oh, good.
It turned out okay. Yeah, it flies fine. I mean, I've won lots of contests with this airplane. It looks real old time and real butt ugly. That's all I can say.
Well, what motor's on that, Lynn?
Fox 35.
Fox 35.
Yeah, Fox 35 with a Hemi head and a stuffer backplate.
Okay.
Very nice.
And it works good. And the prop's just an old 10 flight, top flight Super M prop.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Wow.
So,
well, it's not as it's
Lynn,
not that bad.
It's good enough for me to fly. I wouldn't be embarrassed to fly it.
No, I mean, it's not an embarrassing airplane to fly. It just looks ugly.
That's what I mean.
It flies. It's a good flyer. It's just, like I say, it's really ugly. But
not that bad.
Well, you can see where there's paint missing and everything else on the thing. There's chips and scratches and it's just a mess, but that's okay.
That's
okay. You can see the bottom of the wing. It looks like it's got about 3 colors of red. Some places I put actual red dope on it. Other places it's just clear. Chunks of weight out on the wingtip just to, get the wingtip. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just an airplane and it's fun to fly. That's all it is.
Well, thank you for showing us some of your ugly airplanes. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can't show the pretty ones all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That polar bear is looking nice.
Thank you. By the way, what I did with that is I gave it a light sanding and put another coat on it, and it came out much better.
Another coat of the that
Of the-
2000K.
Yeah, the 2K clear. I put another
Okay,
coat
great.
on it. It's still not perfect, but it's good enough for me. I'm happy with it.
Very good.
So
Hey,
I'm
Hey,
ready to
Dennis.
go.
Thanks
I
for
like-
coming in, Dennis.
I like
Yeah.
those exposed tip weight out there on that outboard tip.
Yeah, that's nice, eh, Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could start a trend here. I've got the remains of the airplane that won the 1970 Nats,
Right?
and it still has clay underneath the outboard wingtip.
Oh, wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
That is so cool. But yeah, I don't know why I did. I don't know why I never got around to sticking it in the tip weight box. There's a tip weight box there. I don't know why I never put it in, but for some reason I didn't. I must have been in a hurry at some point and just stuck it on there.
Maybe. Hey, I have a question. You mentioned you purchased the wrong silk.
Yes.
What is the right silk? Do you know what the right
Not
silk
a,
is?
still don't know. I've never used silk again. Maybe somebody could come on here and tell us
Well,
because I
Sig
sure
used
don't
to
know.
sell, Sig used to sell model airplane silk.
Okay,
And then there was what, K&E or KNS, K&E, I think, used to have packages of silk
okay.
for model airplane stuff.
And I don't know the proper technique for putting that on either. All I've ever used is silk span. I've never actually used silk.
Yeah.
So there's probably some little differences in the technique for applying it. And I didn't know. I just bought this stuff and had a go at it. Well, that was a big mistake.
Well, some people, I think, like on silk span, say, put it on wet.
Yeah.
I've tried that with both silk and silk span, and I haven't had much luck with it. So I put it on dry and then shrink it from there.
Okay. See, it's interesting because when I do silk span, I always put it on wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
And
put it
then
on
you-
wet.
And
But
then you
that's
let-
just what
then
I
you
got
let-
used to.
Right, and then you let it set and let it dry for a day or two, and then you go back and sand the excess off, and then you dope it, right? Or shrink it up with a heat gun before you dope it.
I've never shrank silk span with a heat gun. I don't even know if you can.
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
Well, not
I've
a
ne-
heat gun. I mean a blower.
yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
covering blower. I know.
yeah,
But yeah, I didn't know you could do that.
yeah.
Actually.
You can. You have to be real careful because they'll burn.
Well,
a
of
hole
course,
in it,
you'll
but
burn a
but
hole
if
in
you
it.
got little fine wrinkles in it, you can get the wrinkles out of it some ways like that.
Isn't that something? Oh, there's
And
something
then-
new. Learn something new every day.
And then when that's all done, you go and you put your dope on it, either color dope or clear dope, and then you paint it, and on you go.
See, what I did with my bear is I put poly span over all the open bays and then silk span the whole airplane.
Hmm.
Because I wanted it to be a little more durable. Like
Yeah.
I'm a little too clumsy to just put silk span on anything because I know
Yeah.
when I put it in the car, I'll bang it on something and put a
Yeah.
hole in it, and the person will swear and will last all the way to Muncie, and I don't want that to happen.
You know, Carl made some like mittens or for his wings.
Or
They're a good
wing
idea. Too.
covering.
They're a good idea.
You gonna grab
let
those,
me grab one real quick.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And Lynn, I have an answer for you from Bill. He says, "Yes, I am."
Okay,
Perfect.
I will.
Thanks.
Okay, I will throw the plans in the car. Perfect. Thanks,
see-
Bill.
And I see, Dennis, that you delivered a like. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Dennis. You're a VIP because you give me a like and you come inside. So that constitutes a VIP. We can't hear you, Dennis.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
There he is. Now
Yeah,
we hear
you
you.
now.
I was going to say, I saw there's a question about Viking plans. You can get them from the Brodak website. And frankly, I would recommend that because I researched that airplane, very thoroughly when I re-engineered it. And the Brodak plans are very accurate to the outline and the structure. The structure has been beefed up internally, which is allowed by the old time rules. It has a stronger set of spars in it. And I even, versus some of the other versions, I restored the full width of the fuselage for those few people who may want to use an older engine, or even something like a Fox 59 or something like that. It's one of the engines listed on the original plan site. So you can get the plans, and you can get a separate sheet of templates. So if you want to scratch build, you can do that. And of course, you can just get the kit too, or you could get it a set of wing ribs typically. Brodak has wing rib sets for all their kits, and that can save you some of the busier construction parts at least. It's
plane?
constant cord wing, it's simple, but you can still, get past that, so.
It's a lot quicker if you
The
don't have to
Viking,
cut out all
Phil.
your own ribs and stuff, yeah.
The
Yeah,
laser cut ribs will spoil you. It's as simple as
that's the
that.
truth.
So.
Ain't that the truth?
So Lynn, are your Viking plans from Brodax or yours
Yes,
something
yeah,
different?
no, it's Brodak. It's the
Okay.
Brodak,
Yeah, in fact, yours is the earlier Viking plan that I started with, so.
yeah, it's
That's
the
what I
earlier
have.
one. It's not the new
I
one.
mentioned the other day when I was talking about it, I found 4 sets of plans for the Viking. One was the original kit plan, which was only half size, but it was good for outlines and a few odd details here and there. And one was the Brodak kit plan. One was a kit plan from Tony Drago, who was kitting the airplane before John Brodak did. And Tony's was accurate to the original wing construction, but he had actually narrowed the fuselage just a smidgen. It was, basically sized for modern engines. I think he showed an LA-40 in it or something like that, which would have been a good, good combination. And then there was another plan by somebody that it had one less rib in the wing than all the others had. And it had a slightly different span and a slightly different chord. And it was, it was an outlier compared to the others. So.
That was the crook in the bunch.
Yeah, one of the I don't know how in the world you're going to cheat your way into a bit superior airplane by leaving out wing ribs, but it just didn't seem to be the right way to go. And one of the things I changed on the structure is what they all had. The original, I think I mentioned the original had the kit came with a built or framed up fuselage back in 49 or 50 or whenever it came out. And one of the things that fuselage had was, I think it was a 1.5 or 2 inch block under the nose, under the motor mounts. And you were supposed to carve that to shape and then hollow it all out and everything like that.
Wow.
That's a real pain in the behind to build, or, to carve it and to hollow it and everything like that. And structurally, I don't think it was terribly efficient. So I changed the fuselage side and, had doublers and stuff in that, and then had, I think it's a 1/2 inch block on the nose. It's a lot easier to handle that way. So.
Yep. Cool.
At any rate.
Very cool.
Yours even looks like the kit box, Len. Was that the picture they used for the kit?
Yeah, that's what. And I tried the red silk, and what a mess I made of that. Oh my God. But I got it to the nets and I flew it.
I remember our local hobby shop used to have silk by the roll. I mean, they had like reams of it there, and you bought it by the yard.
Yeah,
the yard wide.
I bought this stuff at a dressmaker's shop. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, how or where they got that stuff, but it wasn't that hard for them to get it. And they had about a 6 colors.
Cool.
They had, red, white, blue, green, and
checkerboard.
American Beauty Red, which by any other name was pink.
Hey, Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Dennis.
Yes, sir.
I remember Joe's sold silk by the yard.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it was yellow whenever I bought silk there, it was yellow because I used it to cover a twister once.
Yeah,
I
well, they had
remember
several colors. But,
I rode the Tireman bus down there,
mhm.
paid my 50 cents to ride the bus down there and back, and got my yard of yellow silk. I don't know if it's Isaki or who made it, but it was yellow silk by the yard, not in a package. They'd roll it out and sell you whatever you wanted.
Yeah, that was kind of neat because you could get, you could get 2 or 3 yards, running yards, if you will. So you didn't have to depending on your project, you didn't have to piece it together or anything like that. You know, some of the big RC planes and stuff, they'd like to have buying it 2 or 3 yards long and covering a wing panel in one piece and stuff like that.
Yep. Good old
I-
Joe, man.
Hey, Mike, that was the question that came up. You may not have heard. How do you pick silk? How do you buy silk? I know, okay, you just mentioned one way, and that's the only way I ever bought silk was off the rolls at Joe's.
That's the only way I ever bought it.
Well, you know, Isaki makes it in little bags, or they did up until
Right.
a while ago, and that's what all the free flight guys used to use. And I get that on eBay. I buy
You
that
still get
on.
it there? Okay.
Yeah, you find it on. Sometimes you get lucky, you can get a bag for $10. Sometimes it's 25. You know, depending.
Mhm.
And it's colored. It's either white, red, green, or yellow, blue, or the colors that I've seen. And I'll be honest, the only thing I put that on is vintage combat models, like the Nemesis I built, the Voodoo I built. I do them silk and dope, old school. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
because
And
it's
then,
stronger
Keith
than
had
silk.
mentioned K&S was packaging it and SIG, but
I think I have some K&S silk, but I think it's heavy. I don't think it's like medium. You know what I mean? I think it's heavy for RC planes.
yeah.
I think it wouldn't do you any good on a control line model because it's pretty hefty
Mhm.
silk. Is Lenny still in here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, there
What's
he is.
up? Oh, you're gonna show me that plane?
Yeah.
All right, that's
Well, I
cool.
wanna
That's
tell-
perfect.
I'm gonna tell Dennis something. I saw your post about, you know, all the trash talking about.
Yeah, what the heck, man? You
Well,
guys are.
This is the Can-Am right here, man. See, I'm reaching across the border. I'm going to help the Canadian guy out with this half-A plane.
If I beat you, I'll be running all the way home.
Don't worry. So we were going through our stash. I told you I didn't have any of these left, and Sam found one in the tippy top way up on the shelf.
That's amazing.
Not
Awesome.
breaking. It's straight. We put it up there because obviously all the covering was falling off.
Yeah.
But I think it's an old Vico or Vico because it doesn't.
It'll do just fine.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I mean, you can do what you want with it, but I think obviously tear the bladder compartment out of there to save some weight. You can get rid of that.
Exactly. I'll get rid
It's
of
not
that.
load bearing. And the other nice thing, since you're gonna have the covering off, get rid of this
Yeah, I'll
inch-
get rid of it.
bell crank and
Yeah.
put you a 3 in there if you
Yeah,
can
put a
probably-
3. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just got it. Well, you know the combat. It's
Yeah.
just a pin you drive out.
Yeah,
And you-
exactly.
Once you get rid of the bladder compartment and carve that out, you got room for a 3-inch bell crank in
Yeah,
there.
that'll be perfect. That'll
And
be
I think,
perfect.
you know, you can probably lop this off back here. You don't need that part of the stabilizer.
Yeah, I'll just knock
Join
that
your
off and
fuse
clean it
in,
up.
and I think Bob's your uncle, man. You got a good start to a half-A stunner there, man.
I'm excited. I'll have it ready to go by Tuesday or early.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pre-start for you right there. I'm only gonna
Yeah.
charge you $5 for tearing the covering off for you. Okay.
All right, that's a pretty good
That's a good
start.
deal.
That transport's better that way anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah, weighs less.
But there you go. I got
All right.
it sitting on top of your prop, so I won't forget your.
All right. Thank you. That's awesome.
Let me say hi to Phil. Thank you for coming in, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And also want to say hi to Joe Mata.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you, Joe. This
Joe.
guy launches
Hey,
most
Joe.
of my planes. Most of the time, it's usually him and myself. And let me see. There was something else. Oh, as far as let me get back to the chat box. Jeff Riley, referring to your Viking Lynn.
Yeah.
Just a minute, Keith. I'll be right there. He says, cool, Lynn. It looks total 50s trash can on the hood and about 55 degrees elevator throw.
That's right. Yeah. I think there's a lot more than 55 degrees. I think it's like about 90 almost on the down.
And then Keith Bozell, he says he learned handle control from Charles today. Set up. You're welcome, Keith. And then Jim Lynch, the handle is Joanne Lynch, but I know it's Jim. He says, Charles, Keith, was talking about the Mathis Citabria. That's how it was.
Citabria.
Tabria.
Citabria.
Citabria. Okay. Citabria last week. Did you know that the aerobatic spelled backwards is
Citabria.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Yeah.
what
Citabria.
Citabria got its name.
Interesting how we name our planes, Jim Lynch. And then Jim goes on to say the aerobatic spelled backwards is
Citabria.
Citabria. And Jim.
Veronica
Keith Bozell
Citabria
says-
Decathlon. Yeah.
Keith Bozell goes on to say Viking Brodak has the new kit. And Jim goes on to say, sorry about the spelling. No problem, Jim. And between the spelling and the pronouncing, we all need some grace.
Yeah,
Need some grace.
Yeah.
that's it.
So anyways. So Mike, what are you doing? I see you got your working
Well,
on your
before we
plane
get
there.
to Mike, Keith had something to show there.
Oh, that's
Can we-
right. Thank you so much for that. Hang on, Mike. I told Keith to hang on, so let me get back to Keith.
Well,
Mike
Eric,
Boulevard.
I don't know, is this backwards? Eric Rule used to sell this, Hobby Fasteners.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the
Yeah.
way to get it.
This was heavier than some of the other silk that I've used. It has a tighter weave. But supposedly it took less dope than to get it sealed.
Okay.
And I don't know whether the guy that took over Hobby Fasteners still has access to buy this stuff or not. I have no idea. And then there's this from SIG. It's
Oh,
so
lightweight silk. Okay.
Cool.
And this is stuff, real stuff from Japan, Isaki silk. But anyway, and I sold a whole bunch of silk sent somebody a whole bunch of blue silk the other day. And again, I think that was packaged by, who is it that makes the breast tubing? Is it K&E or K&S? I don't know.
K&S.
KNS.
It is.
I think they used to sell the stuff in packages.
Yeah,
Very cool. And Carl Reed, regarding Lynn's putting holes in his wing, Carl has a solution. You have it
Yeah,
still
well-
next to you, Carl?
Yeah, these are Home Depot big packaging boxes that you buy at Home Depot,
Yeah.
and you just trace out your wing, and then I use a Dremel tool with a cutting wheel on it and cut it out, or I traced it out, and then when you get done, it looks something like this. Now on this one, let's see, on this one I use tape, but you can go to Home Depot and you can buy Velcro and you can put straps. Let's see where we're at here. You can put straps on either side, and then when you pull these off, you can just slide them off, and it protects the
slick.
wing.
Yeah, good idea. And very inexpensive too.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than buying foam. Now, if you got a plane that you got a real primo paint job on it, you might want to put something on the inside on the cardboard.
Yeah, no
so that
kidding,
when you
because the cardboard will scratch.
right, but you don't make these tight with it real hard. They're just there to protect it. So when you lay it down or something or transport it, less chances of holes getting in the wing. So that's what I came up with.
I think
Good
if I
idea.
was, I like the idea, but I think if I was gonna do something like that, I would get Naomi to sew me up some sort of a mitten out of material.
Well, yeah.
Stuff it with something so that
Yeah,
it's
well, I came
soft
up
all
with this.
around.
I came
But
up with
it's a
this.
good idea for combats and stuff. It's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
I came up with this idea when at Home Depot, and I was thinking about how can I protect my wings, and I saw this lady with a big moving box, and I go, hey, I could use that, So I brought one home and
Yeah, for sure.
made one for one plane, and it worked great, and so that's what I
No,
did.
it's a good idea.
And it's cheap. I think the boxes were only like what, $5.69 a piece, and I can get 4 panels out of one box, depending on how big your
That's
plane
cool. Yeah.
is. So,
How does it fly with those on there?
oh, I haven't got that far yet.
Maybe you can
well,
just
I'd
leave them on.
say fly it in the shipping crate, right?
There
That'll
you go.
protect it.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
But you can take, you can buy Velcro and put Velcro on the back here,
Yeah.
and you just do it loose so that, well, let's see here. Where? Something's hung up on it. Oh. Where it just slides off nice and easy without
Yeah.
tearing the covering up.
That's cool.
So
It
anyway,
works. It works.
That's my poor man's idea.
Hey, it works.
Absolutely.
You're okay from.
Hold on. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I lost him.
I don't think I can do that.
Let me catch up again with the chat box. Jeff Riley says, I've been able to find light silk at Hobby Lobby.
What happened here?
Wow.
That's
Really?
another source.
He's got a better Hobby Lobby than I've got.
Yeah.
First time I ever went to a Hobby Lobby, I walked in and I thought, what the heck is this?
Oh.
This is not what it's called. It looked more.
Yeah, it's like a
know,
Michaels almost.
It's funny, in the 70s it was.
Okay.
The first VF motor I ever bought came from Hobby Lobby.
All right.
Really?
In fact, the first 4 came from Hobby Lobby. Now it was in Las Vegas, but it was Hobby Lobby.
Isn't that
But
something?
ever since, the ones here anyway, if you walk in looking for hobby stuff, there's one little rack of balsa and there might be 10 pieces of balsa in the whole thing. So
Yeah, like I went into a Hobby Lobby. It was sometime on my trip to Muncie back in 2012. And I said to Naomi, I said, look, there's a Hobby Lobby. We got to go check that out. I walked in the door and I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
well, Lynn, I just found out about the hobby shop that was when you're on the AMA grounds, you can just go take that little back road, little grass strip, and end up in the back
Is
parking
that
lot.
place still there?
No,
Okay, no.
the
Okay.
last time I was up there, I was going to go looking for it, and they told me don't bother, it's not there anymore.
That place closed like 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's one in downtown Muncie.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good.
There
Okay.
is a hobby shop in down. It's mostly RC cars, electrics, and drones, but
Yeah.
he does sell fuel. He does sell fuel line, and he sells propellers. And
Okay.
he's got a K&S rack, and he's got a balsa rack and a plywood rack, and that is very handy for when
You're
your kid,
there.
when your
Exactly.
kid crashes his stunt plane the day before he's supposed to fly it, and you got to go to town and buy materials.
To
Ask me how
rebuild
I-
the sucker all night long. Yeah.
Hey, I remember Bob Gieske at a contest hit a runway light with the bear, and Wendy Arnowski took one of his, at that time, brand new Cardinal kits apart, and they cut ribs down from a Cardinal to fit the bear and repaired the bear that night, and he flew it the next day.
Wow. That's
And
wild.
Wendy Arnowski, man, if you crashed an airplane and it could be repaired, Wendy would have it repaired. He was amazing. There was a kid at the Worlds crashed. He was from Brazil. Crashed a Trivial Pursuit, and I said, "There ain't no way." 4 hours later, they flew it.
That's wild.
Yeah, there was
I
something else.
I like doing stuff like that. I'm
Yeah,
right
well,
in
I like-
stuff like that. I'm right in. I'm in like you wouldn't believe. I love doing stuff like that.
I went over to look and see what he had, and it was a Trivial Pursuit, but he had a carbon rod in the center of it that was a spar, but it's what joined the wing. And I was looking at this thing, and I thought, how in the Sam Hill does he run that thing? Must have a hole through the center of the rod. And no, bell crank straddled the carbon rod, and it was U-shaped. And it straddled that rod, and when it worked on either side of it, and then the push rod came way off the top of it. And best I can remember, it came off both sides. It was an oddball setup. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but it did work, and Wendy got it fixed.
Wow.
Hey, Mike, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I see Joe Mata's in here. I got a text from him yesterday or something asking to talk about bladders a little bit, maybe talk about bladder construction and whatnot, and I'm happy to do that. I just need a little time to sit down and relax because we just literally got back from the flying field 15 minutes before the show started. So
Okay.
we're still
That's okay.
putting airplanes away. I'll get some bladders out and some material and stuff, and I'll show you different ways that we make them and try them. And
Okay.
what are you mostly interested for? Like speed limit bladders for 25s and 40s and stuff, or half inch?
No, I'm just flying a 25 right now.
Okay, perfect.
I just started flying. I just like have questions about the size combinations, shelf life and whatever.
Yep, I'll get everything out and get all the materials, and we'll put one together, and I'll tell you what to buy and where to get your parts.
Okay, appreciate it.
I'm just gonna listen for a little bit because I need to. We've been at the field since 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we were out there for 5.5 hours today.
Wow.
Very good. Well, we had a good crowd. We had Greg Hill, Sean Day. You might not know, but he's a good competitor as far as combat. And Stuart Mossman and Carl. They were all flying combat planes today.
Whoa! Any carnage? You guys fly any matches?
No matches. I don't know why they don't practice matches out here. I've never seen them practice a match.
Because you tear stuff up, Charles. You don't want to tear your stuff up, man.
I guess so. I
We
mean,
do that
Greg
flying
had like a
stunt.
box.
I'm
or tote.
I'm not that good yet, Mike.
Well, you're never too good to tear. You're never not good enough to tear stuff up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you're good enough to do figure eights, you're good enough. That's all you got to be able to do is you got to be able to do figure eights. You're good enough to fly combat.
And then go smell the blood in the water. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember a girl coming to Winston contest, the 4A years ago, 70. Keith probably remembers better than I do, probably 74, 5, somewhere in there. And she was a young girl. She'd take off, and just as soon as they let it go, the other plane would let it go, and he'd come after her. She just flipped the thing up inverted and flew 1 foot off the ground inverted. And every time the guys would try to come down and get her, they'd fly into the ground.
Yeah.
But when they passed her, she'd come up and get them and then go right back down. She won about 6 matches. I thought she was going to win, and then our little buddy from Washington came. Doesn't he live in Washington? I don't know where he lives, but anyway, came up and stomped her. I mean, he had reflexes like a cat. He come across from high up and come down and grabbed her and go back up. And then he just rolled it over inverted and come back after inverted. Nobody else tried that, but he could fly a foot off the ground too. And he was amazing with that thing. It had a rudder on it. I just knew he was going to drag the rudder any second, but never did.
You talking about Howard Rush?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember he was over there flying in that clown suit?
No, I never saw him in the clown suit.
It was pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Keith, I keep meaning to ask you, do you still have plans to that little Bearcat Navy carrier airplane?
Yeah.
I'd like to get a set of plans to that and the FW, those 2 planes. And I still want to know how that rudder works. But I got to get up with you one of these days and get that, try to get those.
Give me your email or your address. Leave a message on Stunthangar.
All right, I'll put it in there tomorrow. I don't know how to do it on this thing, but I'll put it on with my tablet in the morning.
You want the Focke-Wulf plan, the old one? Or,
Yeah,
no, the
the
big one,
seven-
the 70s one.
Yeah, the 70s one, the one you
Yeah.
showed the other night.
And the
That's
Bearcat.
how the rudder works and the Bearcat. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had
those-
one of those Bearcats. I loved that thing. And when we moved, I guess somebody, I thought it just got misplaced, but it has never shown up. We've been here 30 years.
And you want my Ravy rudder thing.
Yeah, that Ravy rudder is fascinating.
Okay, that Bearcat, I flew that for a long time in Navy carrier and did it sports scale too.
Yep.
I had different set of landing gear for the 2 events.
Yeah, I did too. I just copied you all the way around on that one.
And the
It worked
plan,
great.
I think this thing was just a little bit bigger than the old Berkeley Bearcat that
Mhm.
Fox had, and then I think Sig took it. But this is a little bit different than that, and the construction's entirely different.
Yeah.
It had flaps that worked, and got a lot of service out of that airplane.
That was a good one. I had a lot of fun with it. That's That's the first plane I ever managed to get the high speed, the low speed, and a landing, and the motor's still running. Most of the times I smacked the deck, the motor didn't make it. It would still live, but it didn't run. That one actually did it a few times and did well in some events. But I had that in an MO1, and the MO1 I ended up giving to somebody. I don't remember who.
I'll
But
copy plans for both of those and send them to you.
I appreciate it. I'll send you. I'll put my name, address, and telephone number on Stunthangar tomorrow. Well, I'll do it here in a few minutes. I just have to go get my tablet and put it on there.
Hey, Phil Bailey.
Yes, sir.
You have the same name.
As the guy,
Oh,
as the Air Force guy in Florida, and I've been
Yeah.
wanting to meet him for 20 years. And can't
He lives,
every time
lived last time I heard he's in Tampa.
Tampa. Yeah.
We flew Air Force meets together and we're on the first Air Force team at the 70 Nats.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I moved to Washington, he was stationed in the Pentagon. I was too. And we went to a whole bunch of free flight contests down in Virginia. We had a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
He's a good flyer, and he flew a little bit of stunt, but he's a really good free flight guy.
Yeah, I wanted to meet him for many years, but I have not been lucky enough to yet. I went to a meet that I was sure he was going to be at, and he had something happened and couldn't be there that weekend, but everybody there seemed to know him. He'd
be at least 4 or 5 years older than I am, so he's getting up there. Yeah.
Oh, we're all getting up there, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm one of the young ones, and I'll be 67 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you are young.
Yeah, but still, I'm young and I'm an old guy. So
I can't say I'm old then.
I tell you a thing about what gets you starting to feel old is when your youngest turns 50. And then you kind of look around and say, what happened?
That would hurt. That would hurt.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not far away. I have one that's 45.
Well, like I say, when they turn 50, you're going to wonder what happened.
I just had my third grandchild graduate high school Friday night, and I'm already wondering what happened.
Well, I guess you had your kids young, didn't you?
Well, I didn't. 19. Our first one came year and a half after we got married, but my oldest daughter started having hers at 19 as well. She had 3, and I thought, my good gosh, we're doing this way too young. Something's wrong here. But I like it now because at my age, the kids are grown, they're on their own, and I don't have to worry about them. You know.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's 65, and his kids aren't out on their own yet, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what did you do wrong. So I don't know. Way it works.
Mm-hmm.
Way it works. But
so did you fly? Did you fly Phil today? I flew, and Mike flew, and Joe flew, and Carl flew. Did you fly, Dennis?
I'll tell you what. I went to the field this morning, and I had every intention of going flying, but I've been trying to get a building built in the backyard, of outbuilding, and move my shop to a building rather than having all this dust in the house. And the guy said he was going to be here at 11 o'clock. So I went and I helped the guys what I could for a few minutes, and then I came home and I was here. It's for when he came. So 11 o'clock came and went. 1 o'clock came, and I finally emailed him, and I said, "Are you coming today, or what's going on?" He called me a few minutes later. He said, "I forgot it was a holiday. I'll be there tomorrow at 11 o'clock."
Oh, man, been flying all that time. Ooh,
that just kills you.
So he gets to take another day.
What really kills you, the guys are going back in the morning. I'm going to miss that one too.
Okay.
Well, that's frustrating. Yeah, that's frustrating.
You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. I'm already paid for this building, or I'd really be upset. But anyway, one of those deals.
Well, I said this earlier,
I got 3 flights and got blown off the field. So.
Oh, it was so windy here today. I didn't even try. I was so mad.
It was gorgeous.
I had
Let's
everything
put it this way.
ready.
I was flying that Viking that I showed off the other night, doing my 5 inside loops, and I was literally getting pulled across the field. I haven't had an airplane do that to me in a long time.
Man. Wow.
That's when it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I got 3 flights and I was actually getting some successful, I was trimming some things out and trying to set
Yeah.
my motor run and stuff like, the duration, and I was actually getting some positive results, but I'm sitting there in the 3rd flight and getting ready to do the vertical 8, and then the 15-mile-an-hour wind was gusting to something else, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't need to do this. I just flew it out and put it away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Smart man.
It's
I
time
flew
to
the
go
new,
home.
I flew the new PA 75 Caravel today.
Oh, great.
and
Put my maiden flights on it. I got 3 flights. Pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I got
Oh,
a
very good. I'm
I
happy
got
for you.
I got a flight video I can share here.
All right.
yeah, Larry Robertson is a darn good builder, so I'm pretty doggone confident you got a pretty good airplane out of that deal. So
Yes, he is a very good builder, and this airplane flies better than anything I've ever had my hands on. So,
Really?
really,
well, maybe not anything, because Trian's Revolutions flies pretty damn good. But yeah, this blows my SV11 out of the water for sure.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
How about Axioma? How does it stack up?
I still only have just the test flights on it, and I don't have any batteries to fly it till Trian comes through. So.
yeah, I didn't see that Thunder Tiger had a holiday sale this time either.
I don't think
I
they
don't
do
either.
Memorial Day. I think it's going to be 4th of July. So, whatever. He'll make it good. As long as it happens by the fall, I'll have some batteries, and then I'll really start flying that airplane.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Caravel was pretty nice. Very happy with that.
How much it weigh?
What do we say? 69 ounces
With a 75,
with a
That's good.
75. Yeah.
that'll work.
That works.
What prop?
You're gonna have to ballast it up for Lenny to fly, but other than that,
No, no. My Cardinal with a 75 only weighs 70 ounces, and it's good.
oh well.
Keith, it's a Bali 2-blade, but I don't know the pitch or the diameter because I haven't had it off the airplane. I didn't measure it. I just tightened the prop up on it to make sure. And I don't even know if it's written anywhere or in there. But it's a Bali 2-blade. And I flew the exact setup that he had the airplane set up for. I didn't touch anything on it because I figured, the guy's probably already got it trimmed out. So I just flew it exactly the way he had it set up. Didn't have any problems with the motor. Motor purred like a kitten. Sent it up at 8,800, 8,700, somewhere in there. I was getting 5.1 second laps, which is I like a little faster, than
That's on a pipe.
it's on pipe. Yeah, it's on pipe. And
Sounds like it must be a fairly high pitch, 6 pitch or something like that too.
8,800
8,800 RPM and 5.1 laps sounds like a lot of pitch.
A lot of pitch, you think?
Yeah.
And I was flying on 64-foot lines too.
Okay.
64 18s. And I mean, the lap times were right on the money. It felt where I wanted it to be. What else? The only thing that I noticed, and it could just be my flying style, but it could be the way I got my handle set up too, but I may have to go in there and adjust the elevator push rod a little bit. It seems to turn outside faster than it turns inside. Noticeable for me, the inside corners, everything was great on all the, corner maneuvers for the insides. I hit the handle like I normally do, and it was, nice and smooth, good corners and everything. When I did the same thing on the outside corners, it would bobble just a little bit on the outside corners. And then I also noticed my outside loops with the same amount of handle input were tighter. So I had to ease up on my outsides, and I had to do a little bit softer outside corners. So, but other
like me, Mike.
But other than that,
Join the crowd.
Other than that, it flew pretty good. Well, I'll say this: after the first flight, I compensated for the speedy outsides just by not hitting them as hard, and I was able to get through and fly it well enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but it's definitely different on different inputs. To me, you know, the way I throw the handle, inside was fine, outside was too tight and sloppy in the corner. So there's a couple things I know I can do there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does have hatches there to adjust everything, the flap horn and at the elevator. There's hatches. He's got slider horns on there, which that's not going to solve my problem. But I'm assuming if he went to all the trouble to do that, it's got adjustable push rods in there. So maybe I can take a little bit of down out of it to even it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, take a little bit of down for the relative to the flap, and also if you have a hard point handle, can you move?
Shorten it up.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say, yeah, shorten
Yeah.
the down line up.
Shorten it
a bit.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, raise the down line up to give it a little bit less. That
Yeah,
I'd rather not do that. I'd rather try to fix the airplane than do it at the handle first.
In the same way, Mike.
Anyway, so you never know until you try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like I said, it's just three maiden flights today, maiden flight and two more. And initial findings are, it's good, it's solid, it goes where I want it, other than turning too fast outside.
How does it track?
Oh, dude, like on rails, man.
Yeah.
Like it's on rails, man.
Yeah, so try to fix it at the handle before you start changing the airplane.
I would too. You can do.
Yeah,
I think
I
you
would
can do
too.
a lot more.
I think you'll get it a lot quicker and probably easier.
Okay, well, that's easy enough, you know.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, it only takes a second to put the handle back. It's a
Mhm.
whole different game once you've opened the airplane up.
Right.
Dennis may have a different opinion, but I think you can do an awful lot at the handle before you start messing around with the airplane.
I've always
Me
found
too.
that too. I agree,
I think so, too.
100%.
Okay. Well, all things being equal, I always try to get the airplane flying so my handle is symmetrical on both sides. That's just,
And
I've
then we
always,
can talk about the one famous flyer in Central California, San Francisco area, that says you need to have your handle be perpendicular. And for me, that only works if your wrist works the same way for up motion as it does for down motion, and it doesn't.
Mhm.
So, and that particular famous flyer, it's interesting to watch him fly because when he goes inverted, he holds his handle flat to horizontal to the ground.
Yeah.
Right. I know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I love him like a brother.
Hey, Steve, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Let me
Hey,
catch up on the
Steve.
chat, you
Hey,
guys.
Steve,
Hang on
good
one
to
second.
see you.
Let me catch up on the chat. Jeff Riley. No, excuse me. Boy, I've missed a lot. First of all, Keith Gordon Delaney says hi.
Hi, Gordy.
And then Jeff Riley says, hi, Gordon. How's the new twin? And then Gordon goes on to say, fast 4.6 lap times, added head shims, dropped the nitro, went faster, but flies really, really good. Then Jeff Riley says, nice. Then Jeff Riley says, it is a tad difficult to find an 8x2 prop. And then Gordon Delaney says, cut down a 9.4 to 8.5 to 3.5 pitch plus longer lines. And we're all caught up.
Hey, tell
Oh,
Gordy that another guy and I are planning on doing a twin based on his twin Pathfinder. And it'll be semi-scale Hornet. It'll be the same size as his Pathfinder, which happens to be the same size of Bob Hunt's twin. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of information from Bob on how to do electrics, since I've never done one before. And it's going to be a neat project.
The Hornet, is that the plane that Al Raby built?
He built one that's never been finished.
Yeah. Did you ever? I wonder who ended up with it.
I think Frank McMillan has it, or one of his friends there in San Antonio or in Texas.
I thought the
Okay,
Hornet
finish
was a jet.
It is.
No.
But, this was a twin de Havilland Hornet. Looks like a streamlined Mosquito.
Oh, okay.
It really does.
Yeah, it looks like a mosquito was raised on health food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same
No, the famous test pilot there, Eric Winky Brown,
Yeah, Eric Brown
flew more airplanes than anybody else. All right.
in the
More
world.
carrier landings and stuff like that. He pronounced the Hornet as being the absolute best airplane he ever flew. So,
Yeah, it's
you
one
know,
of
the
the neatest
combination of power and maneuverability and every, you know, neutral torque,
was an
everything on it was
English?
great.
It was an English then
de
airplane?
Yeah.
de Havilland Hornet. Look it up. It'd be neat.
Yes,
It's a wicked looking thing.
it is. It is.
Al Raby did one. He was going to try to make a OS 35 crank, rework a OS 35 crank. Huh?
He got the engines made.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
That would be one turning,
Yeah.
you know, kind of rotating
So you
to
don't
try
have
to,
worry about the rudder.
yeah. And if anybody could do it, Al could have done it. Because, man, I saw the 51s he built, and they were something.
All right, Mike, go ahead, Mike Lonky.
Yeah, I got some bladder stuff set up here. If Joe wants to check
Sure,
out
make you
right
big.
here. Am I big? I don't
Oh,
think
hang
I'm
on. I thought you was. Hang on. Let me remove. And then hang on 1 second, Mike. There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, Joe. So for 25 speed limit, this is what we make.
Is that quarter by 16th?
That's, I was just going to tell you that. That's 1/4 inch ID, 1/16 inch wall thickness. Okay, latex. I don't know if this is latex or neoprene. I get this from Phil Cartier. He calls it the yellow jacket tubing.
Okay.
But you can use any 1/4 inch with a 16th inch wall, which you can get from McMaster Carr. Home Depot even sells some real latex tubing that's brown, that is 1/4 inch ID and 16th inch wall. It's over in the plumbing section. You kind of got to look for it because they just got one little tiny bay and it's 20 feet or 10 feet in a little bag, but you can get it at Home Depot for about 20 bucks. So that's what we're using for 25 size stuff.
Now, what's the length? Does the length matter?
It does matter. So you want to make it shorter than your bladder compartment. Okay. So there's your bladder compartment. And that's, you know, this one could even be a little bit shorter than that. Because once you get that down in there and you blow it up, you don't want your spigot popping out the top of the wing.
Right.
When it blows up, you don't want your spigot out here flapping around. You really want it to be inside the airplane. So this one could probably even be 3/4 of an inch shorter. And you make sure you get it all the way to the end there. And then you train your bladder to blow up the way you like it. I train them to blow up from this end.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll push it out here. Other guys will tell you they blow them up from this end and let them shoot out that way. It's a matter of preference, I think. Okay. So there's 2 ways to tie them off. I'm lazy, so I use zip ties. And 99% of the time, I don't have a leaker. I do get the occasional leaker. A lot of guys, this is a half A bladder, but this is wire twist with twist pliers for wire electrical. Right. You can do the same thing with the 25 size bladders. You just wrap it around there twice, use your twist pliers, and the reason some guys like to do this, they leave that tag on there. So they put their bladder in, and that just keeps the spigot. I don't know, the light is bad in here. It keeps the spigot right there on top of the wing.
Okay. All right.
Okay. It holds it in right there, and then your spigot is right there instead of sucking your bladder all the way down in. Because the problem is, if you don't have the correct amount of fuel line on there and you blow it up and then the bladder shrinks, it can pull the fuel line off if it's going the wrong way.
Okay.
You know, as it.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
do you just put the fuel line on there, or do you wrap that too so the fuel line don't pop off?
No, that's the next part of the lesson. There are many different types of plugs. Okay. So there's this kind you can use. There's this kind you can use. So you got your nipple, and then this is the part for the bladder, but there's a little ridge there, right? So there's a
Right.
bump. So when you slip your bladder on and you tie it on either with
Zip tie.
wire or the
Yeah.
zip tie, you're good.
Can't go anywhere. Yeah.
This is a half A bladder, very similar, half A fitting, similar but smaller. Same thing here, half A. And then your plugs. This is a half A plug. Same thing. It's barbed. It's barbed on that side. So you put it in, and then you got your little cap on the end, and you do your zip tie. And for my half A bladders, I actually tie them with Spectraline. I use Spectraline. I go around 4 or 5 times and then just tie a couple knots in it. And that seems to work very well for me. Now, the 25 size bladders or FAI bladders. And you can get all this material either from Phil Cartier or from Melvin Schutte at MBS Model Supply.
Yeah, I saw that on MBS. Yeah.
He carries everything that you need. I like these guys right here, and I just found these recently. These are called goof plugs for fixing irrigation.
Irrigation, yeah. I have.
Okay, so I've been buying goof plugs that looked like this.
Oh.
They were just the caps, right?
Right.
I've been buying these for years just for my caps, right?
Right.
And then I was buying my spigot ends from Phil Cartier. Well, Goof Plug just came out with this nifty little set here.
Just drill it out.
With this one I just showed you is actually one of these that I just snipped the end off of and then flattened it out on the sander. So with this one, because you've got a barb, you got a nice barb on both sides, just drill that puppy out, man.
Yeah.
With a 16th inch drill bit. Now you've got an end and you've got a top with a spigot on it.
Right.
You got everything you need right there. So then we would take, this is old crappy bladder tubing, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So I've already, just pretend I've already drilled that out, right? So that's drilled out. That's one end. This is the other end. And then I like to use these small white zip ties. I get them started. I get them right there. Make sure your material is overlapping the barb real good.
Right.
And you get that zip tie right in there. Cinch it up as tight as you can. And then what I like to do is I'd use this pair to loosely hold up against the head of the zip tie. Once I grab them with these, now I'm going to open the green ones up a little bit so that it can move. And I just pull it snug. Because you can't really do that with your fingers, right?
Right.
Pull it snug. Clip off your end. Do the same thing on the other side. Bob's your uncle. That's it.
Nice.
Now,
in about 5 minutes, you've made a tank. Well, it takes me about 10 hours to make a tank for one of my sons.
I'll trade you. I'll send you 10 of these, Keith, for one of yours. Yeah. And the only other thing I'll tell you, Joe, is if you're going to use zip ties and you're using store-bought Russian stuff, the holes are too small, and you're going to try to, because the zip tie is sticking out, you're gonna struggle putting it in there because the hole is barely the right size. So I always take my Dremel, and I just wallow out this hole a little bit so that this can go in and out very easily. Because I have broken this little balsa reinforced piece here because I haven't drilled them and I'm trying to get in there, do that.
Right.
So, and of course, if you're building your own, if you're doing foamies or whatever, you can put whatever size hole you want in there. Just make sure it's big enough for that. But
it's not fair.
That's it. Any other questions, Joe?
What about like storing or what ruins them? What's bad for them?
Nitro, fuel.
Okay, so
and sunlight.
The residual, you go out fly in the residual fuel that's in there, and then it sits for a couple of weeks. Is that thing?
Well, so we flew this one today, and as soon as I got home, I took it out of the airplane and I tip it over and squeeze it because there's usually still a little bit of
Yeah,
dribbling.
right.
That's one thing you can do to help prolong the life is
Yeah.
squeeze it, get all the fuel out, and then I'll go fly this again. We're gonna go tomorrow. I'll fly this tomorrow. I'll probably fly it. The next 3 or 4 outings, depending on how many flights we get out of it. But really, 20 flights, they start to bulge and then they lose their structure. They're kind of disposable. That's why
Right.
you have a bag of 20 of them made up,
Right.
ready to go. And I try to use them until either they break or they're not providing consistent pressure to keep, if your engine's going all over the place.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And if it's it's a bag you've been using for a while, put a new bag in it. Just, they're cheap enough because, the ends, you're reusing these all the time.
Right. Right.
All you're wearing out is this, and, what's 2 inches, 3 inches of rubber is 50 cents, so they're cheap. And if you're having trouble, toss them, make new ones.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Good presentation. Jeff Riley says, if you know a nurse or doctor, you can get the yellow jacket tube from them.
Yeah. Oh, I got one more thing. You just reminded me of something, Charles, if you want to put me up there again.
Sure.
Shutoffs, pinchers. Okay. Pinchers for your fuel line.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm not going to be able to get this in here because I'm trying to do it in front of everybody. There we go. So fuel line is important for a couple of different reasons. I like these IV slide clamps
Mhm.
for pinchers, right? So once you fill up your bladder, you got to shut the fuel off somehow. So that's how you do it. And then when you go to start, you slide that off and you're pinching your fuel line while you start until it starts going, and then you can let it go and open it up.
Right.
Some guys will make little metal clips that are bolted right onto their engine mount that they can, it's like this.
Slider. Yeah.
They can slide in and out. That's good too. That works. Some guys are still super old school and use the hemostats, and as long as you're controlling your fuel line when you're taking the hemostats on and off, it's not a problem. They make some really nice wooden pinchers. The F2D guys have. They use a sewing spool and clothespins with a rubber band on them. A lot of guys like to use those because some people don't like to have this hanging out there, in the Airstream. But I almost exclusively use these. I love these, and I've never had a problem with them. But fuel line, let's get to that real quick. You got different kinds, right? There's all kinds. There's hard stuff. There's thick stuff. There's thin-walled, supple, right? There's thick-walled, real supple. And then I like this RC car fuel line from Traxxas. It's pretty thick, but the inside diameter is plenty big enough. And I'll tell you the reason I like it is because when you have this on your needle valve, and then you've got your bladder going here, right?
Uh-huh.
Going in. Well, sometimes if you've got soft fuel line, the air is pushing on it so hard, it'll
Okay.
it'll kink your fuel line right at the needle. And you don't know, it'll run great on the ground, right? It runs great when it's on the ground. But as soon as you let go and you get in the air and you start maneuvering hard, if you got soft tubing, depending on how your nipple is oriented, right? That was funny. Depending on how your nipple is oriented, you want to make sure that your fuel line isn't kinking and closing off.
Huh. Right. Huh.
So that's another thing to consider. Okay. That's it. I'm done.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Good
Thank you
job,
very
Mike.
much.
I was gonna say something with using them zip ties, to tighten that down on there. They make a zip tie tensioning tool. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. Where
Yeah,
you
I've
stick
seen
them on
them.
it,
Yeah. I got a pair of them right here, man. I got a pair right here. But Steve, I know what you're saying. You can, I looked at them. But man, I thought they were like $25 or something. I was like, that's not
Yeah,
one
you
I
can
need.
get them for $8, $11 for the cheap ones. I mean, the pair I got, I had for work, and the things were like $60.
I got a birthday coming up, Steve.
Do you really? When?
July 30th, man.
Oh,
All
shit.
right.
Well, I may just have to get you a pair of tensioners.
If I had them, I'd use them, man. I absolutely would use them. You know?
Well, we started, I loaned them to everybody, I always brought them to the field. Now I don't know. I took them out of the flight box because they use zip ties to put on tanks.
Yeah.
They had spacers so you could trim your tanks up and down, on profiles. So we always had zip ties, and you could add or whatever, and then you could tighten that on there, and it wouldn't.
Yeah, because they are a pain to get tension on if you're trying to hold something in place and do it. They're hard to get where you want them.
I always hated trying to hold a daggone pipe in place and tighten them up. That was always murder for me.
There's one guy, he gets a pair of pliers and grabs the end and uses like a loose one to pull, and it slips, and he jams a pair of pliers right into the side of his, the fuselage.
Oh, yeah. Does not sound like a happy day.
Nah, them things work easy. I mean, you can find them on Amazon for $8-10, but it's just, how Mike does it's fine.
Steve, what you been painting?
Let me say hi to Howard Rush. Hey, Howard, and hi, Stephen. I see Stephen McBride is in.
Hey,
and
Howard.
Howard, if you have a report from the Northwestern Regionals, that would be great if you have a report on that.
If he's got a report, I can show pictures because there is a ton of pictures on Pampa Facebook right now. So if you guys want to see the airplanes, I can show you the airplanes.
I was painting a shed, Phil, to answer your question.
You can show the pictures and I can narrate.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Hey, how would your airplane fly?
Great.
I need a minute to pull it up. So y'all discuss.
All right. Hey, Stephen, what you up to, man?
Not much. Everything good today. Relaxing day.
Very good.
Yeah.
You've been flying? I know you work an awful lot, but have you done any flying lately?
Try to. Gusts have been high. Wind gusts have been high lately, so it's been preventing that.
Looks like you got a haircut.
Yeah. About a week ago.
I bend mine back and forth and break them. I don't cut them. Yeah. That's hard on the hair.
Hey, has anybody seen Santa Claus tonight? What's going on?
Oh, okay. So John Miller called me, and he's waiting on a new router. So maybe he'll be ready to go Friday.
As long as he's all right. As long as he's all
okay.
right. I just worry about John.
Yeah, he's.
Did I tell you I got a hold of what was the guy in Florida? Peter.
Really?
I got a hold of Peter's daughter-in-law on Facebook.
Right.
He's okay.
Good.
But he's not even talking to his boys much. He's just still taking this whole thing really hard. So he's not communicating with anybody. They said that his sons are seeing him maybe once a month, but he doesn't return phone calls with them or anything.
Okay.
He's
well, as long as he's alive,
but he is alive, and his health problems. He's doing fine.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Good deal.
So,
great deal.
Maybe he'll get back on one of these days when he feels up to it.
I hope so.
That's encouraging. That's really encouraging.
But yeah, I meant to tell you guys that a couple weeks ago that he is alive. So
thank you. Let me catch up on the chat box while Mike is queuing up the pictures. Jeff Riley goes on to say that I used to use an old line clip on the 1/8 inch fuel line.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say that the zip tie tool is called a Panduit gun or Panduit gun. Panduit gun. So that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I might get one of those.
Mine was a cable tie tensioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it said on the package. Cable tie.
If you look at it, if it's the one that's sold by Horrible Freight, It's sold as a cable tie tensioner, but if you look at it, it's made with Panduit.
You know what the silver gun where you put it on the cable tie, you keep pulling the trigger and it pulls it tighter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually it'll cut it for you.
Mine's different. Mine's, you pinch it. It's not a gun. And you run the cable through it and it spreads like this. And then on the top, it just has a thumb button and it cuts the tie.
No, the one I have, you keep clipping it and it cuts the tie. It pulls it tight and it cuts the tie.
Yeah, it just decides it's tight enough.
They pull it too tight.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones like Steven uses all the time, the gun ones, some of them are $200.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You
I got
know,
one at the boy
between
show.
$100, $200. This is just a cheap one.
Okay.
All right, we got the show and tell up.
There we go.
Wow.
Go ahead, Howard. This is off of Chris Cox's page. I think he's got about 8 or 10 photos here, and then I've got David Shorts also posted a few photos as well.
I like that Bearcat.
Two Bearcats. That's nice.
That is pretty.
Both of them.
You want to tell us who they belong to, Howard?
I can. The white Bearcat is Alan Ressinger's. He flies backwards. And it was kind of interesting. I looked over and he was doing an outside loop, and the monstrous tail was hanging down. And I didn't realize it was Alan and thought it was someone doing an inside loop and wondered what the heck is hanging down from that airplane.
A hell of a sub rudder, huh?
The yellow one behind it, is that a Bearcat too? It looks like
Yes,
it. Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. That's the Beetle Bomb. That's painted
Yeah.
as the Beetle Bomb, the Blue Angels demonstration plane that they raced at Torino.
The one in the foreground is Tim Just's Philip Granderson airplane.
Yeah.
Tim is flying really well, and is at the rate he's progressing, he'll win the Nats this year or next year. The airplane at the far end, the blue one, is Chris Cox's Hellcat, which got 20 points and got the concourse award at the Nats.
Is that the first year? Is that his first one, Hellcat 1 or 2?
That's his first one. That's the good one. He lost a contest by 1 point with his new airplane a couple of weeks ago, and so he decided enough of that. He brought out the good airplane and he won this contest. The one in front of that is Jim Aaron's airplane that also won the concourse of the Nats and won the concourse at this contest. And the one next to it, the red and white one, is what's his name from Alberta? I voted for it for concourse at this contest. There were a lot of pretty airplanes at this contest.
You know his
Where's
name?
yours at?
Bruce Berry, I'm sorry.
Where's yours at, Howard?
I don't know. It's probably under some plastic. Oh,
there it is.
There it is.
There's mine next to Chris's there, the yellow one in the foreground.
How many points did you get for the appearance on your new dog?
18.
Very
Wow.
nice. Wow, only
Pretty good.
18? Wow.
Somebody was judging tight.
Might have given you 19, Howard.
Someone was looking at it within 10 feet, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. A little better picture of it. There's
That's
Paul's impact.
The Anteater.
Yeah.
With third paint job, I think. It's a really good airplane.
Is that the same one he crashed and put back together in a week?
I think so.
Wow. That plane was tore all to pieces.
It
You put
was.
it back together and you couldn't tell it had been damaged. It was
What
amazing
happened?
rebuild job.
What happened when he crashed? Did motor quit or something? Or
Oh, he was he was watching the way it was coming down in a wing over, and I guess it was a wing over. Anyhow, he was concentrating on how it was flying instead of where it was flying.
Oh Lord, he just flat flew it in the ground, huh?
Yeah.
That hurts.
And let's see, whose is that in the foreground? I don't remember. It was a lot of people were there. We had 17 and expert, but this, if you get wet,
oh, sorry.
Damn, that's a noisy electric.
Oh, that's all it is. Sorry, that was only just a couple seconds of video there.
That's, yeah, it was.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Oh, Caprice.
Yeah.
That's probably Ken Bird's. This was the one to miss because the weather was crummy.
Any shorts?
Put the Caprice back up just a minute, Mike, please. All right, got you. Thank you.
That is
That's
pretty.
I like that paint scheme.
Yeah, so do I.
Friday was nice. There was old time was on Friday, and I got there in time to put in 4 flights before dark.
Ooh, look at that.
This is Bruce Perry's Gordon Delaney twin, and he won class test.
I have seen that thing fly, and it's amazing. It has retracts.
Yeah, it has retracts, and they work. Saturday.
That's a classic legal.
Oh yeah.
Saturday
Oh,
was.
yeah.
And about until the contest was finished, profile and classic were over. Then it started blowing a hoolie and raining, and we all went and did other things and didn't get to practice on Saturday. First round Sunday was dead calm with thermals superimposed on it, or some kind of wind superimposed on it. So the wind kept changing every which way. And
wow, that's a bunch of people.
The wind was blowing over a hangar, and I guess not a hangar, a building, and it was extremely turbulent and just awful.
Chris pulled it out. Wow.
How did Tim just do?
Impressive.
Oh, at 588, I think.
Wow.
Something like that.
610, 614, and a 588. So 610 is Paul. Paul won it, right?
No, Chris Cox, 614.
614 won it. Chris.
Oh,
Cox.
okay. 614 won it. Paul was second with a 610.
And then Brett Buck.
Brett Buck.
Brett Buck.
Brett
Oh,
Buck
I'm not.
third
Okay.
with 601. Wow.
Yeah, David Gerald wasn't there because his wife's getting aftermarket knees installed.
Oh, boy.
Aftermarket what?
Knees.
Oh, okay.
I think I was fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth, yeah.
Oh, very good, Howard.
So
very
does
good.
You
this
did well,
plane-
Howard.
Does this new plane, you think it's going to fly as well as your old one?
Oh, yeah, I think it'll fly better. It's 6 ounces lighter, and the wing is
What the heck is that?
less malformed.
These are David Short's pictures.
This is David Short's canard. He had the flaps going the opposite direction of the elevator or the canard surface last year, and it was really cool. And it's still really cool, but he's got the flaps fixed now, so it's not as cool as it was.
Wow, that's interesting looking.
Does it fly well or not?
Huh?
Does it fly well?
Yeah, no.
No.
But it,
No.
Not well, but it flew interesting, huh?
I think this is Cunha. But
So
I'm not-
Pete Nunez adjusting his needle valve, and who's holding it for him?
James Dean, not that James Dean. This is one.
Right.
That's,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Pete Cunha's been in here before. He hasn't been in a while.
Who's that out there?
Looks like
Looks
Lanny
like-
Shorts.
Looks like
Okay.
Lanny, isn't it?
All right.
yeah.
All that flat land. Good gracious.
That's definitely Lanny.
That's an airport. That's why it's flat. There's
Oh, okay.
their side. And,
I think that's David's granddaughter.
it's
Some-
David's daughter, Lanny's granddaughter.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the
Okay.
the tiger. Yeah, I forget whose this is.
Oh, that is cool looking.
Heard people
That is
talk.
cool looking. That is cool looking.
What's that RC plane doing there? That Sig Phaser, man.
I don't know. I wasn't there for profile.
Okay.
You know,
I
we
guess-
had a
Can you
guy in our
guys-
club that
I
Can
don't
you
know
guys
what-
see how big that too much is? Go back one slide, Mike, please. Look how big that too much is. That orange plane.
It's big,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Compared to what's in behind it. Yeah.
Gordon Delaney put
plane.
his on its wingtip at VSC and hid behind the airplane. It was taller than he is. It's a
That's
big plane.
Well, that's-
plane.
Oh, now too much. Is that before the Pathfinder?
Oh, way before.
Oh yeah, way before.
Oh,
That was
okay.
back from the 60s. That thing's from the
It's a
60s,
64 or 65, I think, something like that.
something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's Lanny's wife on the right and Paul's on the left with Wally. Wally's the dog.
Okay.
I've heard a lot about that little dog. He's pretty sharp little pooch.
He's
Wow.
he's not as Nigiyaka as he used to be. He's slowing down in his old age.
Oh well.
He's not slowing down in his old age.
That's a nice.
That's
looking-
Jim
That's a
Armour's
nice little
plane.
airplane.
I don't know what this one is. I've got
Big Streamer, or is this Stream?
That's Bruce Perry's, right?
I think it's Jim Armour's. I think.
I thought it was Jim Aaron.
I
Jim
think
Aaron.
it's,
Jim
Jim
Aaron.
Aaron.
yeah, Adam looks like Jim B.
Uncle Jim B. To be more correct.
Yeah. That's Pete Cunha.
That's cool. It's a good shot.
It is.
What are they doing there? That looks like some 3-up rat.
I don't know what they're doing. They do that. It's noisy and
I like it.
it's scenic. You can see the
I see 3 guys and 3 airplanes. That's my kind of stuff there, man.
yeah. There's combat going on too.
Wow.
Don't they have everything there? They have scale, combat.
Yes, they
stunt,
did.
carrier.
Lion. They had actual AMA combat with Nelson's, and my neighbor won.
Wow.
That's
The guy-
that's
neighbor-
the kind of contest
Yeah.
we always had when I was a kid. Our club contest, the big one, had everything. But there'd be like 100 people there.
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you, Mike, for the slideshow. Appreciate it, and thank you, Howard, for the narrating. That's pretty cool. And Caffeine, thank you for coming in.
So Howard,
Hi, guys.
you still have more trimming to do on the airplane, you think, or you got it trimmed in pretty good now?
Sorry.
There's always
Okay.
more to do. I'm somewhere in the middle of the Walker trim chart. Ha! Ha! That remark was because a blue heron just took off from my backyard, a huge bird, and I think he was fishing in the pond.
Oh, okay. I still thought that was funny about you being halfway through the trim chart.
I'm at the quality of rounds, quality of corners.
Quality of turn, yeah.
where I'm messing with the CG versus elevator travel.
And then once you get all the way to the end, then you start over again, right? Go back through it again.
Well,
Based about do.
you go back several times during the process.
What's the
catch
new
up
one?
on, let me catch up on the chat box. There's some comments regarding the slideshow. Gordon Delaney says, Bruce Perry called today and said he won Classic with his Too Much twin. And then Gordon Delaney goes on to say, build my Too Much in 1966 and
Hey,
test
we're
fluid
about
in
right.
February 67. And I had retracts. And then he goes on to say that Too Much 76-inch wingspan, 960 square inches.
I like that plane so much at VSC with Gordon flying it that I bought the plane. I've searched for a long time. I don't remember where I finally got them, but I got the plans to it. And if you think the plane is big in person, roll out the plans.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. When I went to VSC, I stayed at Bart Kopinski's house and he had it Too Much leaning against the wall. And anybody who's seen me, it's no surprise it was taller than me. But yeah, it's a big plane. That is too much.
I still want one, but I tell you, you would have to invest the entire building season's balsa inventory to build that thing, and I'm not sure you'd be done yet.
Jim Rhodes told a humorous story about an early flight of the Too Much. The landing gear didn't come down. Gordon was whipping it for a couple minutes and got tired, and Jim took over and he whipped it for a while. And I think he gave it back to Gordy. And just as he was getting tired again, the gear came down.
Oh, very good.
Wow.
Yeah, a timer that ran more slowly under power than it did on the ground.
I like the electric retracts better. They work.
I'd be happy if I could fly my plane with a rubber band today. I can't even get out to fly. It blows so hard here every day.
Oh man.
Has anyone tried the air retracts? Does anyone know?
I did on scale planes years ago. I had it on my Corsair and on my Bearcat. They were Robart retracts, air actuated retracts.
I'm trying. What was the other one? There was Robart and there was
something jet, wasn't it?
Yeah. These were the ones I used. That they failed down. They were spring loaded.
Yeah.
And the air pressure. So if you had a failure in the tank or whatever, then your gear would come down. But my brother always used the ones that were the opposite. They sprang up and then they aired back down, but because he had that happen. Got a leak in one of his lines, gear wouldn't come down, and he belly landed the airplane, ripped off the pipe. It just broke the stab and part of the rudder when it whipped up on there. But I was thinking about the spring airs. That was the one.
Spring air, that's it.
Spring air. And they made small ones, and they'd be light. That was the thing we were always getting away from using a servo and stuff, because you just had the aluminum tank, you pumped it up and some lines, and you saved ounces of weight.
Yeah, we had a guy here that he didn't live here, but he came here, and he had a C-130. And it was basically foam that had been paper mache covered and then sanded and painted, and it was exquisite. But to save weight, instead of using the aluminum tank, he used a Pepsi bottle or a Coke bottle, a soft drink bottle.
Oh.
Well, we're out there on the line and we're getting ready to fly at the Jim Thrift Memorial, and it started raining. just drizzling rain, but everybody naturally took their airplanes and put them in the car. Well, he had this real nice elaborate van, and he put the plane in the van and closed it up, and then came back under the shelter, and we was all chewing the fat. Well, the rain lasted about 5 minutes maybe, and then it got hot. Sun came out. We're all sitting there thinking, well, maybe we'll go ahead and get our planes and come on back out and fly some. He's walking to his van, and I was parked right next to him in my high dollar car. I had a Chevy Vega station wagon at the time. And we're walking to the car, and both of us, being old guys from the service era, hit the deck. We heard a loud boom, and we both hit the deck. That Pepsi bottle or Coke bottle had got too hot in the back of that car, and the C-130 was in shards in the back of the truck.
Oh man, that's
It was a shame.
That
It
is
was
a-
such. It was the
Oh,
one airplane I really thought I was going to have to compete against, because he was really putting on a show with that thing, and I really thought he had me, and then it blew up, and I said, "Oh darn it!" And then that's the last event I went to, because the guy protested me for using landing gear that he couldn't buy.
Oh, brother.
The plans are on the internet. Well, there wasn't the internet. The plans were in the magazine. Build it, stupid.
Yeah.
And he just.
We always used R12. Well, I did, because I could get it, bring a tank of R12 and throw liquid. How dangerous that was.
Yeah.
Put liquid refrigerant in that tank, and then if you had a little bit of a leak, it didn't matter, because you had enough in there to run that gear up and down 50, 60 times.
Yeah, I was always happy if it went up the 4 times I needed just to get through the pattern. But that thing, the best contest I ever went to, I thought I really had it covered. I had the Bearcat. I still had the Bearcat, and I had a new Corsair, and the Corsair was just bad to the bone. There was a dude in Arizona. I've forgotten his name now. Cowboy Keith something. Kent Rogers. Kent Rogers? Kent Walters had a SBD Dauntless. Man, all I had to have was one look at that airplane. I knew, well, there goes first place. So he flew it as good as it looked. Well, it's midnight. But anyway, that plane flew great, and he won. Man, he won. Put on a heck of a show. But when he took that plane apart, so help me, he had a spring door hinge in that airplane to help bring those flaps back up once he dropped them. He said, it's not a problem dropping them. It's a problem getting the dang things to close back up so you can pull out of the dive fast enough.
What are we going to be taking them?
Wow.
I don't know.
But I learned a lot talking to that guy. He was very interesting, very, very knowledgeable. It's like talking to Keith.
Anything else?
I think Keith got him beat, but.
Well, you guys, let me
Going
end the
off
live
air,
stream.
Charles?
I'm going to end the live stream, and we're going to continue on in the after party.
Hey, Charles.
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, real quick. I'm going to show a video of my flight today. I was waiting for the after party.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the after party. I don't want it on the internet because I'm a little embarrassed of something I did, but I'll show it to you guys.
All right.
Stick around.
All right. Okay. I'll stick around for that. All right. So anyways, we're going to end the live stream. We had a really good show at 99 views, average view duration about 30 minutes. And we have 23 likes. Thank you very much. No chat revenue and no new members, but please consider supporting this show. Anyways, we'll be back Friday. Hopefully you have a chance to go out there and you shop or go fly and come back and with some show and tells. And until then, we will see you. We will see you Friday. Happy Memorial Day. Take care, everyone.